I'm Nevaeh. Sitting in this cold, sterile police station interview room, I'm surrounded by the weight of secrets and the sting of betrayal. My sister, Luna, stands across from me, her eyes red and puffy, and my father, Dr. Ethan, sits slumped in a chair, his face ashen. The air is thick with tension, and the only sound is the ticking of the clock on the wall. Just a few hours ago, I was in the hospital, my head throbbing with pain. Dr. Hayes, a kind-hearted doctor, had just shown me an X-ray of my skull. There, lodged deep in my temporal bone, was a tiny metallic shard, no bigger than a grain of rice. It wasn't from the fall at my birthday party, it had been there for years, possibly decades. My mind flashed back to last night. It was my 28th birthday, and we were in our large, old-fashioned family home in the countryside. The house was filled with the sounds of laughter and music. Luna, always the joker with her quick tongue and envious looks, had insisted on the cake-in-the-face prank. "Come on, Nevaeh, it'll be a blast," she'd said, her eyes shining mischievously. I was wearing a beautiful emerald green silk dress with silver embroidery, which made me feel like a queen. Balloons in the same color filled the room. As Luna lunged forward and slammed the huge chocolate cake into my face, the force sent me tumbling backward. My head hit the sharp corner of an antique side table. Pain shot through my skull, and warm blood mixed with the sticky icing on my face. I gasped, my vision blurring, but everyone around me burst into laughter. Luna just chuckled and wiped her hands. My mother, Ava, who's always been the practical one, hushed me. "Don't be so over-dramatic, dear," she said. My father, Dr. Ethan, a brilliant but often distant scientist, just gave a half-hearted grin. I forced a smile and wiped the mess away, but the pain didn't go away. It throbbed through the night. By morning, the headache was unbearable. I drove myself to the ER. The ruby pendant on my necklace, a gift from my mother, felt like a heavy weight around my neck. Dr. Hayes ordered an X-ray. When he looked at the film, his face paled. "This can't be right," he muttered, and then he reached for the phone. "I need to call the police." My heart raced. What had he seen? Why was he calling the police? Nurses rushed in, their whispers like a low hum in my ears. I sat frozen on the exam table, the bright lights above me buzzing. My hair, still adorned with the diamond pins from last night's updo, was now a mess. Dr. Hayes shielded the X-ray from me. "Nevaeh, have you ever had any head injuries before?" he asked, his voice steady but his eyes full of urgency. I shook my head. I couldn't remember any significant head trauma. Growing up, Luna and I had a fierce sibling rivalry. She was the star student, always at the top of her class, while I struggled with random blackouts and migraines. My mother always dismissed them as stress, and Luna would tease me about being clumsy. My father was often locked away in his home laboratory, working on his scientific projects with all sorts of strange gadgets and chemicals. As I thought about last night, I couldn't help but wonder. Was the cake heavier than it should be? Did Luna push me on purpose? Paranoia started to creep in. The police arrived quickly. 2 officers gently questioned me about the party. I told them about the prank but left out the family tensions, Luna's jealousy over my recent job promotion, and her snide remarks about my seemingly perfect life. Dr. Hayes talked to the officers and mentioned that there were anomalies in the scan. It wasn't just a fracture from the fall, there was something older, something embedded. The word embedded sent a shiver down my spine. As they took pictures of my bruised face, I caught a glimpse of a shadow on the X-ray. A small, irregular shape in my skull. What was it? And why did Luna text me just then? "Hope you're okay, sis. Prank's gone wrong, huh?" Her words felt off, like there was more to it. I was scared and desperate for answers. The officers took me to a private room. My hands trembled as I held onto the ruby pendant. Dr. Hayes joined us and pulled up the X-ray on a tablet. There it was, that tiny metallic shard. He said it had been there for a long time, and the impact from last night had shifted it slightly, causing a small hemorrhage. The officers asked if I'd had any childhood surgeries or accidents. I searched my memory. All I could think of were the vague headaches and Luna's teasing. Then, a memory flashed back. When I was 12, we went on a family camping trip. Luna dared me to climb a tree. I fell and hit my head on a rock. I woke up dizzy with blood in my hair. My mother cleaned the wound and said it was just a scratch. My father was away at a scientific conference, and my mother insisted we handle it at home. The officers asked for Luna's contact information. I gave it reluctantly. Just then, my phone buzzed with another text from Luna. "You at the hospital? Tell them it was an accident. Don't make a scene." That text made me even more suspicious. Why would she assume I'd make a scene? Dr. Hayes lowered his voice and said the fragment looked like a surgical-grade alloy, not something from a random rock. My mind raced to my father's lab. There were always late-night experiments, locked doors, and packages with warning labels. Had he experimented on me? The officers decided to bring Luna in for questioning. As they left to arrange it, Dr. Hayes gave me a print out of the X-ray. "Look closely," he said. There, on the shard, almost invisible, was a tiny serial number. My pulse quickened. This was no accident. And Luna knew more than she was letting on. An hour later, Luna arrived at the station. Her usual confident demeanor was gone. She was wearing the same purple dress from the party, with pearls in her hair, but her smile was nowhere to be seen. "Nevaeh, this is ridiculous," she started. "It was just a stupid prank. I didn't mean to hurt you." A detective slid the X-ray across the table. "Explain this," he said. Luna's eyes widened, and then she looked away. I don't know what that is," she stammered, her voice trembling. I leaned forward. "You were there when I fell as a kid. The camping trip. You dared me." She swallowed hard. "It was an accident," she said. Just then, my father arrived, summoned by the police. He was disheveled, still wearing his lab coat. When he saw the X-ray, his face lost all color. "That's classified," he whispered. The room fell silent. He sat down heavily in a chair. 20 years ago, he began, the company I was working for was testing neural implants. At first, they were non-invasive, but one prototype failed. You were exposed during a home demonstration. The shard was a fragment that got stuck when we tried to remove it quietly. We thought it was inert. My world felt like it was crashing down. "You experimented on your own daughter?" I choked out. Luna's eyes filled with tears. "I found out last year. Dad told me to keep quiet. He said it would ruin our family. I was jealous, Nevaeh. You got the promotion, all the praise, while I had to carry this secret. The cake prank. I just wanted to bring you down a bit. I didn't know the fragment would move." My father interrupted. The impact dislodged it enough to put pressure on the optic nerve. That's why there was bleeding. The detective confirmed that the serial number on the shard traced back to a defunct biotech firm that my father had once consulted for. Charges of negligence, endangerment, and possible assault loomed. Luna broke down, sobbing. "I'm sorry. I hated hiding it." I sat there, looking at them both. My family, torn apart by secrets. A surgery was scheduled to remove the shard safely. As the nurses prepared me for the operation, I touched the ruby pendant one last time. It had belonged to my mother, who had also kept this secret. No more hiding. The truth was not just about the implant. It was about how long love and lies had coexisted in our family. I closed my eyes, ready to finally heal and move forward.